Welcome to the Prop Drop. Tune in every week for the best prop bet picks and analysis across all major sports. Brought to you by WSN.com.
Hello and welcome to WSN's Prop Drop, where we talk the top props across the sports world. MLB, NBA, NHL, PGA, nothing is off limits. I'm Alece Anderson, joined as always by Ryan Sullivan and Adam Forsythe.
What's up?
What's up? We're going to try and give you the best locks, most unique props, best parlays, teasers. Make sure you head over to WSN.com and subscribe as well to the WSN YouTube channel. Okay, boys, we're going to get into the best bets recap, but I need a mulligan, I feel like, from last week.
All right.
Do you remember what my best bet was last week?
Yeah.
I did not pick up a Connaughton jersey because he did nothing in the dunk comp.
Well, I mean, you know that he didn't do anything. I mean, he did
in
things.
Comparison.
They just weren't very good.
So I want to erase it.
It's a mully. It's a mully.
Right?
You know, and no, that's fair. I mean, it was your first best bet pick.
Yeah, it was a bad one.
Yeah, we'll let you re-tee for this show. No problem.
Okay.
And we've changed the seating order. I mean, you know,
it's chaos.
Up is down, left is right.
The
Things are
WSN
different.
studios.
Well, I would like to just reverse and pretend that I made my best bet of the week, Gael Monfils winning the Rotterdam. Because that was my choice. Wow. And he won.
You did. See, you know, we're giving you the mulligan.
Yeah, this is another.
Don't try and rub it in our face with Monfils.
I'm not. It's the only good thing I did last week. So I'm like, yeah.
You chalk it up under best wins. Okay. When it comes to best bets, you're on your own for that.
Okay, fine. Just a mulligan. My best win is that one.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right?
that's fair. That was a good win. That was a good.
Thank you very much. Moving over to you, Ryan. What was your best bet?
So I get to gloat just a tad a little bit longer. I now improved to 7-1-1 my last 9, but I mean nobody's really counting that much. But I will kind of concede this that my best bet pick was Derek Jones Jr. to win the slam dunk contest, and he did just that. My voice just cracked.
But you're excited.
Yeah, the reason that it cracked is because, you know, I feel a little guilty because Derek Jones Jr. should not have won that dunk contest. The guy that should have won was Adams picked, and he got absolutely robbed. I will admit it. So I'm sorry. I'll still count it in my standings, but I do apologize to you there. I mean, that's a tough one. You took Aaron Gordon. He should have won, and
so
you lose another week, my friend.
That was my best bet. Aaron Gordon winning across the board. The three of us agreed. The TV audience agrees. The crowd agrees. The announcers agrees. Everyone was shocked that Derek Jones Jr. won that slam dunk competition. For some reason, the judges of these slam dunk competitions now think it's more amazing that you can jump from the free throw line.
Yeah.
You jumped far away. Do that in the Olympics then or something. I don't know. I want to see some creativity. I want to see some spins. And that's what Gordon was showing over and over again over the last several years. At this point, why would he even bother coming back to the slam dunk competition? Or next year, maybe he should just try and jump from the foul line. Yeah. Either way, this is just me ranting because I'm bitter. I lost my best bet again because Aaron Gordon got screwed.
They should look into I don't know if they can suspend a move in the dunk con, but between the legs is getting very played out now. I love it. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Isaiah Ryder did it. Kobe back in the day. It was incredible because nobody else was doing it. But now every dunk is between the legs.
And so I think since you joined the show,
Ryan
has done a lot of kind of fudging the numbers or throwing out a lot of I'm just not going to count this game. So you know what? I'm not counting my best bet from last week. It doesn't matter. It doesn't go to my win-loss record. It's under protest.
No. I'm not this generous that I'm handing out 2 mulligans to start the show.
I get the mulligan, all right?
Yeah, she called it.
I get it.
She was in sight, and she called shotgun.
That's right.
Standard shotgun rules. Nice try.
Valid under protest.
Yeah, that's fair. Keep that protest going.
Looking back at last week's stuff, though, I did have a few wins I want to brag about. Most of the props we had last week focused on futures bets, and those are all still to be decided. But there was a couple of props that paid off. I was eager to jump in on the XFL action. We'll get into it a little bit later in the show, I think. But I really think the odds makers are trying to figure out this league a little bit, and it's kind of allowing for some juicy odds. I took advantage. I had the DC Defenders covering a 3-point spread against New York. They easily did that. I also had the Vegas Golden Knights to lead the Pacific Division by the end of the weekend. They did just that after 3 hard-fought wins in a row against some very tough teams. So a couple of victories on the board for myself.
That's fair. Did you do the math? I think the Oilers led the division at the end of the week.
Nope.
Under protest. I'll go back and look at the numbers.
Okay, here's where
I'll go back.
In the States and in Canada, it was holidays. So the holiday week goes into Monday.
All right, you know what? It's well played. That's creative. I'll give you points for creativity on that one. Yeah, seeing how we're talking misses here, you took DC. That was well played. I took the New York Guardians, who were awful. Oh my God, were they terrible. And I even said, I was like, it's so nice and refreshing that there's a football team in New York again. New Yorkers could get behind, they can cheer. No, nobody's cheering for these guys. That was one of the worst efforts I've ever seen. And of course, I took the Canucks. So regardless, either way, whether it's a long week that's an 8-day week or not, because those exist. I didn't win either way. So there was that. So I'll give you that. But I feel like the tides are going to spin this week. The tides are going to turn. My best bets of the week.
Tides spin.
Yeah, just like there's 8 days in a week, I'm taking the Columbus Blue Jackets to go over 2.5 players added to their team at the NHL Trade Deadline. It's on Monday, so we're going the 8-day week this week. Anyhow, the trade deadline is on Monday. Let me explain the wager a little bit more for you. It's coming up a little later in the show, but we're looking at the different conferences, the East, the West, and we're seeing who's going to be the busiest, who's going to add the most players. My bet is on Columbus. Jarmo Kekalainen, I always ruin that name, but it's Kekalainen. He's like the Jerry DiPoto of the NHL. He loves to shake things up, loves to bring in the bodies, so I'm taking Columbus for the win.
All right, that's your best bet of the week.
It's my best bets.
You got it locked in.
Of the week.
No going back on it.
No way.
All right, my best bet of the week is going to be on the Lynx. I'm taking Sergio Garcia to finish in the top 10 at the World Golf Mexico Championship. The odds paying 3-1 right now. Garcia has played this tournament 3 times. His worst finish there is a tie for 12th. So let's go Sergio. Very simple. Best bet of the week.
That's my boy.
I like it.
Deep.
For our next broadcast, we want to hear from you. Did you agree with our picks? Where did we go wrong? And most importantly, give us your wildest prop predictions from any sport, and we promise to discuss the top comments in next week's show. Be sure as well to like and subscribe for the most up-to-date prop predictions. Okay. Jude Kennedy again. She's back. She's back.
We love Jude.
Took the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Over OKC.
By 12.5.
And then came back and said, that didn't work. Thanks, Jude.
Yeah, we know
Sorry.
you're paying, Jude. We know you're paying.
Still haven't determined.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know if the sex of Jude Kennedy. We don't know.
Let
if
us
it's
know.
male
Yeah,
or
tell
female.
us.
You got to give us a heads up here.
Before we get into our prop selections for the week, for our listeners living in New Jersey or West Virginia, head over to WSN.com for special bonuses and deals. If you want to bet on this week's games, you can compare the best legal online sportsbooks and get exclusive offers when you sign up and start betting. Headline prop of the week. Over under, I love this one. Over under on the Houston Astros roster being hit by pitches this season. 83.5. Favorite is 81 to 90 hit by pitches. 3-1 odds there. 141 to 150 hit by pitches. Set at 250 to 1. And between 0 and 50, 20 to 1. I love this one. I am so mad at the Astros. If I felt comfortable with it, I would take the 141 to 150 in hopes that nearly every game one person gets hit by a pitch,
Yeah.
The odds are kind of we're jumping in on.
Yeah. Early on, they're going to get dinged a ton. And then the MLB will come up with some little rule or something. Or maybe Rob Manfred will sit on his hands a little longer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, early on, it's just going to be a peg fest.
That's why I'm leaning to the 81 to 90 hits, because you just got to think like they're still trying to win, right? Like they'll make their point. But yeah, I like that one. I'm a big fan of this one. Adam.
Before we get to the prop, can we discuss how the commissioner called the World Series trophy a piece of metal this week? Like, players pour their blood, their sweat, their tears, literal blood, sweat, and tears into trying to win the World Series, and he mocks it by making it sound like it's a toy you can buy at the dollar store. Mm-hmm. His handling of the whole situation is going to forever taint his legacy as a commissioner. It's a joke. As for the prop itself, I feel like I'm going to go. We'll get to Ryan's in a second, but I have a feeling I know where you're leaning. I'm going to take the under. I expect there will be some fastballs into the backs of the Astros players early in the season, but at some point the league has to step in and protect players by threatening massive suspensions. And as mad as some pitchers will be, the threat of losing, say, like 2 weeks pay in a bunch of games, they'll have to kind of second guess whether leaving a bruise is worth being punished. If I'm facing the Astros early in the season, I'm salivated the opportunity to throw a little inside heat. The further we get into the spring and the summer, when the playoffs start to heat up, I think they have to focus on their playoff runs. getting the revenge on the scoreboard. So again, I'm all in on the under, but I will definitely be cheering along with the rest of the baseball world when Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve have to face the music, because their pathetic excuses all winter long has been an absolute joke. But I will be taking the under on this prop bet.
It's been embarrassing, but to kind of play devil's advocate here with the point. That
Great
you just,
movie.
Twice. With the point that you just made, the commissioner stepping in, baseball stepping in to slow down these guys getting pegged. I think that the Houston Astros on the road are going to be the hottest ticket in town, because everybody's going to want to go and boo these guys. Everyone's going to want to go, like the guy at spring training who I now love, and hit their garbage can at the game. And everybody's going to want to see blood. Everyone's going to want to see the benches clear. They're going to want to see these guys get pegged. And the MLB is going to clean up in turn. They're going to make a ton of money off the Houston Astros this season. So I don't know if they're going to step in that quickly. And again, this devil's advocate, they probably will, because they want to keep things safe, yada, yada. But if they're making money, I think the owners might be behind this. Nonetheless, back to the prop itself. I am taking the over. Not only because I think the numbers might support it, and obviously the players' comments recently definitely support it, but I would just love to see it. It's such a demonic prop that it's so beautiful in its entirety. Last year, these guys were dinged 44 times. Not the best. That's 17 less than the league average of 61. Perhaps, though, you hit the garbage can 2 or 3 more times when there's a pitch coming down, between the eyes sort of thing. So maybe that's how they did it. In 2017, their magical season, the Houston Astros were nailed 70 times. So,
I like that.
See what I did there? Yeah. It's hard to say, though, so I had to pause. But anyway, so, 70 times in 1 year. And here we're looking for 83.5 after we know about the whole cheating scandal. Another 13.5 beans. I don't think that's too much of a stretch. And I would love to see it. And I would love to see Rob Manfred do something. But I feel like that is a different discussion entirely. And I don't know if this guy's going to be in the job long enough for us to have that discussion. So that's my take. I'm taking the over. Lock it in.
All right.
I like it. All right, over to XFL. Dallas Renegades at the Seattle Dragons. Dallas favored by 5. Ryan, where are you going with this one?
The XFL, so they came out with this, I think it was CBS that reported it. The average attendance was absolutely laughable for the first 2 weeks of the season. Absolutely brutal. But the Seattle Dragons sold out the lower bowl somehow at CenturyLink last week, and that's what brought the numbers back up. It's these guys. I'm getting very upset here. I'm hitting things. But nonetheless, these are 2 500 teams. This is not an amazing game by any means, but when it comes to this league and it comes to XFL standards, we got ourselves a barn burner, baby. It's not too shabby. I like Seattle in this one. The home field advantage is a huge thing. Obviously, if they can put butts in the seats there. The Sounders have benefited greatly from that in the MLS, reigning MLS champs. The Seahawks always play way better at the link. I mean, they're incredible at home. Not including that last game against San Francisco, but nonetheless, so I give them that. I mean, that's a huge perk, but also I love that run game. Led by Jim Zorn, classic Seahawk on the bench, but that run game, former Cowboy Trey Williams, former Charger Kenneth Farrow. Oh yeah, he was quickly cut, but that he's got the connection there, and I love it. Anyways, these guys were averaging 4 yards a carry last week and double-digit carries each. I like Seattle to win this game. It's not going to be a barn burner. It's not going to be amazing, but they're going to get the job done and they'll cover.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. As I mentioned on my best wins category off the top, definitely money to be made in the early weeks of the XFL as the odds makers are still trying to figure out where they're going to go. And I think they went too heavy on Dallas for this one. The Renegades team have more flash. They have some more former NFL talent, quarterback Landry Jones, running back Lance Dunbar. But I think Seattle's commitment to defense is like the X factor for this game. The Dragons have allowed 6 or less points in each of the last 5 quarters, completely embracing the grinded out style they need to win. Sure, their offense doesn't have a lot of flash. Ryan threw out some names that I'm pretty sure those players don't exist, but defense wins games. And as Ryan mentioned, playing in the noisy confines of CenturyLink, a lot of those Dallas players will be in over their head. This will be the biggest game of their career. They won't be ready for it. I'm taking Seattle to cover, and because of their defense, I'll throw in a little extra prop. I'm taking the under in this game as well.
I'm not going anywhere near it.
No?
But I'm taking Seattle to cover.
Okay.
All right, head to WSN.com for extensive odds and free picks for all major sports. And we're going to move along to the WGC Mexico Championship. Let's start with you, Adam.
I'm really excited for this one. Last year's field for this tournament was stacked. Tiger Woods amongst them. He's taking this weekend off. But there are still a lot of players I really like. A couple of them, I'm going to throw out a few favorites. I really like Xander Schauffele. I like Sergio Garcia, and I'm going to throw in Dustin Johnson. Schauffele playing his best golf in no-cut events like this one, where he's picked up three of his four career wins. His odds are 20-1, which is pretty much the highest you'll see the rest of the season. He's normally in that 15-1 range, so his numbers are a little inflated this week, and I don't really understand why. Garcia's played this tournament 3 times. His worst finish, a tie for 12th. So if you're not comfortable with his odds at winning at 50-1, right now that top 10 finish is paying 3-1. So I like Garcia. And then DJ's the easy pick here. Johnson is a beast at World Golf events, and while the 7-1 odds are exactly the greatest, it's really hard to ignore the big man's past at this course. He's won twice in his previous 3 years here. Very quickly, my value play of the week, and it was nearly my best bet if it wasn't going to be Sergio. Top 10, Tyrell Hatton is paying 7-1. It's his first tournament since November's wrist surgery, but in the last 3 years of this tournament, he's finished 10th, 3rd, and 19th. So at 7-1, I'll take those odds all day long.
Yeah,
Tyrell Hatton.
There you go. That's well played.
Tyrell Hatton.
Yeah. Well, you touched on a couple
Tyrell
names
Hatton.
there. It's an all-name team. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's not quite Xander, but it's close. And that's who I'm taking. That's my pick, paying 18-1. That's fantastic. As you mentioned, a lot of success. There it is. That's gonna rewind.
Tyrell Hatton.
Just a lot of success at this event. Obviously, finished second at the Tourney of Champions to start 2020. Second, just a month before at the HSBC. Second at the Tour Championship. He's also peppered in a pair of top 10 finishes in October and December. The guy, I think, is hitting stride at the right time. I mean, he's playing very well right now. He's striking the ball very nicely. So I'm taking Xander. I think he can pull it out here in that clean, crisp Mexican air. Why can't I talk? I don't know. Maybe the air is not quite clean and crisp in here. But anyways, and my long shot, I mean, you're going with it in your best bet, and I love it. 50-1. How can you say no to that? Sergio Garcia. Why not throw a few bucks down? What's the risk there? The guy, he always pops up with little wins here and there. Obviously, Masters 2017. That was a great thing.
That was a big win.
Yeah, you might chalk that up as a big win. But aside from that, I mean, he had the TPC, which was big, which was nice. But aside from that, it's just little tiny tourneys. He just pokes his head up every now and then. And I think this is one of those times where he really turns things around. Worldwide, he's been on a tear as of late. Finished 6th at the DP Worlds. Finished 8th in Abu Dhabi. 6th at the Saudi International just a few weeks ago. He's finding his stride. He's finding his rhythm. So Sergio's my long shot. I know you're wagering a little more than I am on that one. But I'm taking Xander for the win.
All right.
Nice. I like it. I like the Dustin Johnson pick there. I had him last week. I thought he fared pretty well. I'm going to throw out Matt Kuchar in this one, honestly. I like the odds on him. I like how he played last weekend at the Genesis Open. So,
going with the Cooch.
Let's go, Cooch.
And how much will he tip his caddy? That's the question.
That is the question.
Yeah.
Moving along to NHL. Trade deadline is on the way. So let's start with the Western Conference playoff bubble. Which team is going to acquire the most players before the NHL trade deadline on Monday?
Kick her off, buddy.
You want me to take it?
Yeah. There's a bunch of teams out there that are on that fringe. Like you got Dallas, Colorado, Vancouver, Edmonton, Vegas, Calgary, Arizona, Winnipeg. That Pacific Division race is chaos right now. But there's going to be some trades.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on the Pacific race last week, and things haven't really loosened up whatsoever in that regard. And you look at these teams, some of them that are on the fringe, some that are in playoff spots right now. The varying of cap space is ridiculous. There's a lot of teams, a lot of opportunity here. See, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. We need one coming down from the ceiling, I think, just to keep things safe. But I'm going with Winnipeg here. I think with Brian Little done for the year, I assume they'll start to shut things down. I know there's just a point back as the taping of this show. So, if you can string a few wins together, obviously you go for it. But I don't really see that happening with these guys. I see them starting to shut things down a little bit. I was thinking Vancouver, but they had just added Tyler Toffoli. I feel like they're going to be pretty much done now unless they're looking for depth pieces, so I'm staying away from that. And as of the taping of this show, it has to be 2.5 or more guys starting right now. Now that Toffoli's in the mix, that ruins that. Alec Martinez is already in the mix in Vegas, so that ruins that. So with the cap space in Winnipeg, they got 18 mil there. They got lots of capital, lots of room to move things around. I think they're going to start raiding the bottom feeders, looking for guys under contract for at least a few more years. They got the space for it, and they'll start to build for next year right now. That's my take. Yeah.
All right.
And I'm staying away from the microphone, too.
Good on you. I not a fan of that pick because they don't have a lot of players on expiring contracts, so I don't see where they move players or add players So they don't have a lot of room to maneuver with roster players. because you can try to trade a prospect. They don't have a lot or an expiring contract. I do think Colorado is the way to go. As you mentioned, a lot of salary cap room, plenty of cap space. They've been looking to add all season long. They're heavily involved in the chase for Chris Kreider. They've been linked to a bunch of other top 6 guys, but I also think they'll solidify their bottom 6 and their blue line with a couple of minor additions. And I think they'll easily be the busiest team ahead of the trade deadline. The prop is about who's going to add the most players. I don't think it's not about adding the best players. So I could easily see them adding 4, 5, 6 guys. They might not have the biggest impact, but they are human beings. They're roster spots. They're hockey players. And that's what the prop bet is. Yeah. Colorado, easy win. Winnipeg, get it out of here.
Yeah, I gotta side with you on this one, Adam. They got so much cap space, so why not, right? Let's move over to the Eastern Conference. Same idea. Looking at which playoff team is going to acquire, or bubble playoff team is going to acquire the most players before the trade deadline Monday. It's another tight race over there. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a tight race over there. I mean, obviously, when you look at teams that are that bungled up, if that's a word, well, you think of the Pacific, you look at the West because it's not as strong across the board, but the East is pretty tied up as well. And so with this, I kind of am looking at the Florida Panthers as a bit of a long shot here. They're not going to be my pick, as you heard at the best bet at the top of the show, but they have so much draft capital to play with right now. They could bring in bodies. The cap space, however, not quite there. They're under $1 million in cap space. So, while they're sitting 4th outside that wild card right now, and they could really use some guys to kick them into gear, probably won't happen. But I could see them moving to Trocheck and bringing in multiple guys. So it is a long shot, but nonetheless, I'm going to go with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't think they're going to be sellers. Jarmo Kekalainen, he always loves the guys and that he has in the room, and I think he's going to add to it. He always seems to add to it. As mentioned, this guy is honestly the Jerry DiPoto of the NHL. He just loves making moves, bringing in bodies, and I know Coach John Tortorella has absolutely no problem with that. He'll take any guys he can get in the arsenal if it helps improve the chance of winning. So with $23 million in cap space, I see them surpassing that 2.5 body mark, no problem.
Can you explain Jerry DiPoto for...
Okay.
It's like the second time you've made this.
I love the analogy. Jerry DiPoto, the Seattle Mariners general manager, all he does is flip players. Whether it betters the team or not, it doesn't matter. True. He lives, eats, breathes just to flip players. That's all he does.
I'm just going to throw out random names and see like the listeners. Jonathan Sanford. He makes moves like Jonathan Sanford.
If you're tuned into the show, you know Jerry DiPoto. Jude Kennedy is personal friends with Jerry DiPoto.
Where do you fall in this Eastern Conference ranks?
I just as well. I'm looking at cap space and much of what Ryan said with Torts behind the bench there and 23 million approximately in cap space. It just makes sense, and they're so close. They're so tied up with the Islanders and the Hurricanes for that wild card spot. And most players. Blue Jackets.
Yeah, giddy up.
I want an apology from both of you guys next week because you guys could not be more wrong. Of any team on this list,
crazy.
Any team on this list, this is
Winnipeg, the worst pick. But Columbus, that's my best bet. All right, take it easy here.
Toronto will add more players than Columbus. Florida will add. You can get the point. And go down the list.
This is starting now. Toronto's been adding players since Monday.
It doesn't matter. The Columbus Blue Jackets are not adding anybody. And they're selling. I'll start with the Panthers, who you mentioned. They're already up against the cap. They're not adding anyone at the deadline. As you mentioned, if anything, they're going to move Trocheck for prospects. As to the Blue Jackets, they're feeling a little blue with their rash of injuries. Josh Anderson remains out. Seth Jones is out long-term. Their goalie, Jonas Korpisalo, is still sidelined. It's not their year. They're in no position to add at the deadline. My pick is the Carolina Hurricanes. They have plenty of cap room. More importantly, an extra first-round pick they've been dangling out as trade bait. They're in the market for a starting goalie. They're looking to add to both their defensive and forward depth. I would expect the trade winds will be blowing in Carolina as the Hurricanes storm towards a playoff berth, armed with some deadline additions up and down the lineup. I should have made this my best bet to go against you guys, but
yeah, you make some good points about injuries here and there, but this has never stopped Jarmo in the past. Whether he has no chance of making the playoffs or not, he likes to add bodies. I'm just going based on the trends, the history, and the facts.
I could be such a jerk
right now.
You
can grab your blue jacket and get the hell out of here.
Should I be a jerk right now?
Are you going to explain?
Name one trade he's made at the deadline.
Hey, I researched, okay? I'm not going to go through all the different names. I'm not walking in blind here, all right? I went through, I wikied, I looked at all the old hockey sites. Yeah.
I'll give you your out. It's the best bet. I'll give you a pass.
This is
let's
ridiculous.
get into some basketball.
All right, let's move on. NBA, Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers. Kemba Walker goes over 25.5, or LeBron James goes over 25.5.
I made the mistake of going against LeBron James in the over-under prop a few weeks ago in week 1 of this show. I will not be doing that again. Los Angeles shines under the bright lights of the Staples Center, and LeBron loves to put on a show for the home fans. As for Boston, the Celtics a little bit suspect away from their home court, 15-11 records so far. Having to travel to the West Coast to face off with one of the greatest players of all time, a talented roster backing up LeBron, I think the Lakers cruise to a win, and number 23 surpasses the 25.5 points needed for me to win my prop bet.
Yeah, that's well played, and I'm not going to deny that. I mean, the Lakers 18-7 record on their home court, Celtics, as you mentioned, 15-11 on the road. You put the two numbers, and it's not really going to tell you a heck of a lot there, but the telling stat here is the first meeting from a few weeks ago. Celtics annihilated the Lakers 139-107, which, I mean, is it going to go that way again this game? No, probably not. But nonetheless, the lone bright spot for the Lakers, LBJ barely showed up, by the way, with 15 points. JaVale McGee, 18 points in 18 minutes off the bench. We're not betting on him, but the big standout was Kemba dropped 20. He had a great night, but they share the spotlight like crazy in Boston, so I'm not going to trust him to surpass 25.5. As we've seen time and time again, sure, LeBron can have a sleeper every now and then, but he'll come back with a huge game when it's on the line, when it counts, especially at home. They've got a nice warm-up out of the All-Star break with the Grizzlies, John Morant in town. I think it'll serve as a nice little refresher as they get things rolling again. And I like LBJ to go over 25.5 in this game.
All right.
Okay, sticking with NBA, over-under Cleveland Cavaliers to hit 21.5 wins.
This one's definitely intriguing. The over is paying plus 100 right now. The under is minus 120. And I think that the tank is officially on in Cleveland, right, Ryan? I'm definitely taking the under on this prop. They currently sit at 14 wins as of this taping. They have 28 games left to get 8 wins. I say no chance. The team's a mess right now. Last place in the Eastern Conference. They're getting blown at home by the Warriors last week. The Warriors, in a game they were trailing by 32 points at one point. To make matters worse, first-year coach John Beilein bailing out on them 1 year into his 5-year deal. He was brought in to mentor the younger players, help the Cavs transition, turn things around. The team knew he had one foot out the door from the very beginning. Now he's fully quit on them, and that has to be demoralizing. Tough times in Cleveland. Unfortunately, I don't think it gets any better. It's just going to get worse. So you may as well make some cash on it if you are a Cavaliers fan and bet against your team, because you can watch the implosion from afar. I'm taking the under.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I wonder how much owner Dan Gilbert has left in the tank. The guy has just been through the ringer. LeBron says, you know what? I'm leaving. He writes the letter in all caps. It goes viral. He loses a ton of respect from that one. Then LeBron comes back. So he goes, oh, yeah, no, please come back. So welcome him back to town with open arms, which I'm sure he was biting his lip the whole time. LeBron comes back. They do some great things, of course. They have a winning head coach. LeBron walks in, says, I don't want the coach, so they got to fire the coach. LeBron says, I'm going to bring in my own coach, so LeBron can essentially coach the team himself. It's Tyronn Lue. And now a coach they signed to 5 more years. Beilein walks in after 54 games and says, yeah, I'm quitting. So not good times for good old Dan Gilbert over there. Not good times for Cleveland. It's an absolute mess. And the future looks very bleak, the near future especially. They've got 28 games remaining to find 8 wins. I don't know if I see it. By my count, 15 of those games are against current playoff teams. A good handful of games aside from that against playoff bubble contenders. Bottom line, chalk up another brutal year. I do see them finishing dead last, even though they got a couple wins on the Warriors right now. I think Golden State will pick it up towards the end here. I'm taking the over on this prop.
Oh.
You're taking the over?
I'm taking the over. I think they're going to finish last, but I'm taking the over.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what? You want to know why I'm taking the over?
Yes.
Yeah, because you have been jumping on a bunch of different picks here. We've been having the same picks. And then when I'm picking differently, you're calling me out on these things. So I'm going to take the over to shove it in your face.
Okay.
Does it make sense with all my points?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It doesn't at all. That's why I asked. But I think they will finish last, and I think they will take the over.
All right. Well, at least we have a reason to watch Cavaliers basketball the rest of the season.
We'll shove it in your face.
Gonna be right into it.
We'll shove it down your throat.
Head to WSN.com for tons of betting guides for beginners and anyone wanting to learn more about strategy and how sports betting works. Moving along to the ATP Marseille Open. Outright winner, looking at Medvedev. plus 250.
Yep.
Say the next one for me.
You ready for Stefanos Tsitsipas?
Tsitsipas. Oh, I could do that. Plus 400. Shapo, Denis Shapovalov at plus 750. David Goffin, plus 800. Felix Auger-Aliassime in there, plus 1400. I say it's hard not to take Medvedev here, but I'm gonna go with Shapo.
Plot twist.
Yeah, he's 20. The Canadians have been on a run, right? Like they've been playing some seriously good tennis. He won his first ATP final Stockholm Open last October, currently ranked 15. I think he's just heading up that list. So I'm taking Shapo.
Well, Auger-Aliassime had a great week before. Almost beat your best bets there, you know. So, but it was a great showing. Those Canadians, you're right, they're trending in the right direction. You're not wrong. I think Daniil Medvedev has a bit of a cakewalk, especially with that first round bye. However, the guy I like for this is Stefanos
Tsitsipas.
There it is, another beneficiary of a first round bye. But the Greek tops a lot of betting sites, a lot of betting boards right now. It's a very trendy pick. A round of 16 finished last week. He won the ATP Worlds in Greece a few weeks back, made the quarters in Paris, semis in Switzerland, Shanghai as well, and the week before that he was a finalist at the China Open. My long shot in this one is Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime at 14-1. That's paying all right, and as mentioned, he was a finalist last week. The guy seems to be trending up. A round of 16 before that, and a semifinal loss to Rublev in Adelaide before the Aussie Open. He's a bubble guy, but he could make some noise.
I don't know what has happened to you over the last week, Ryan. You've made some very well-informed tennis picks here. I am jealous you got to go first because it'll look like I'm just trying to take your scoops.
That's okay.
I had penciled in Tsitsipas as my favorite and Auger-Aliassime as my value play. Much of my tennis betting is based on the draws, and I think Tsitsipas is in a much tougher draw. Shapovalov and Marin Cilic standing in his way, not to mention Vasek Pospisil, who's only 2 weeks removed from a finals appearance, playing some of the best tennis of his career. So while I think he's still my favorite, his odds don't offer enough value, as you mentioned, to entice me to sweat out a bunch of tough matchups. So I'll turn to the Canadian, much like Ryan, hopping on the Auger-Aliassime train at 14-1. The teenager rounding into form on the hard courts, and I think this pass to victory is just a little bit easier. Goffin and Medvedev are the only notable threats on that side of the draw. Both have suffered letdowns over the last couple of tournaments in which they were expected to contend. This could finally be the chance for the youngster to earn his first ATP Tour win in what would be his 5th trip to the finals.
There you go.
All right.
So all three of us, Auger-Aliassime.
That's not bad.
Chapo.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah,
Come on
real
now.
Chapo.
I'm going Chapo.
Taking the Canadians.
Yeah, it's all Canadian.
This time next week, she's like, oh, no, I said Auger-Aliassime. I swear.
Mulligan.
Asterisks.
Mulligan.
By the way, I can't believe that I forgot about Matt Duchesne last year at the trade deadline. So that was maybe the biggest trade of it all. So anyways, moving on.
Moving on to EPL, Manchester City versus Leicester.
Leicester. City.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's
So
like
shows what I
7
know
letters
about
you
it.
don't pronounce in there, apparently. The English are different.
That's right. Just take out the I and the C and the extra E.
Yeah, it's a silent L at the start, apparently.
Yeah.
So, no, this is going to be a decent game. I mean, Man City obviously favored, minus $132. And while I would love to take Leicester in this game, you got to play it smart here. And of course, Man City is the wise pick. When it comes down to it, this game is pretty much a mean nothing. It's one of the better looking games on the Premier League table for this schedule. But I mean, the season belongs to Liverpool. They're 22 points ahead of second place Man City, 26 over Leicester. And the only thing that Leicester is playing for now is that lead on Chelsea and Tottenham. They've got quite a few points in hand, but they want to stay up as high as they can to stay in Champions League contention for next year. And of course, with the Man City suspension, nobody's quite sure how that's all going to shake down or if the suspension will hold. Nonetheless, a different conversation for a different day. But with Man City, they've won 3 of their last 5. They're also getting back Benjamin Mendy and Emerick Laporte back on defense. So it's Man City for the win.
I got to agree with you. That Laporte return is huge.
No puns?
That's all I got. No, not much to add here. Ryan definitely has his finger on the pulse of English soccer much more than I do. So I'm not going to dispute his picks. I think he's nailed it. So if he says Man City, I'm right there with you, buddy. Ride or die. Fast and the Furious 10. It's the tagline.
Ride or die.
You guys agree again. Isn't that nice? Head to WSN.com for expert online sportsbook reviews that let you compare all the best legal sports betting sites available in the United States. Talking about some ladies, the WTA Dubai Duty Free Championships. Simona Halep favored at plus 450, Pliskova plus 550. I mean, do you even need to go further? I feel like it's going to be Simona Halep.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to throw this in there and get a little variety on the board and stuff because, rarely do we get to cover WTA stuff. But, in this one especially, there's 3 big names in this tournament, and one of them's going to take it, and it's going to be Simona Halep. Simona Halep is, she's just easily the most powerful player, on the draw here, but also on the court, regardless who unless she's playing Serena. I mean, there's really no even matchups on the board here. I like Simona Halep in this game. 3rd round finisher at the Aussie Open. To her credit, she won the Brisbane International just before that. Semifinals, the WTA, won the 125 in September. I'm talking about Pliskova. I'm reading the wrong facts here. So there's Pliskova. So she could be runner up. She does have a chance. Paying 4.5 to 1 for Halep. How can you say no to that? That's easy money.
It's interesting. It's a bit of a smaller tournament, but at the majors, we were saying we don't really get a chance to talk about women's tennis too much, but there is definitely money to be made, especially in the majors, because there are a lot of wild cards that come out of nowhere to win. Like in Australia, we had Sophie Kennan, and her odds were astronomical to begin that tournament. There's up and comers like Coco Gauff. This one though, because it is a smaller tournament, I think you have to stick with the favorites. So I will depart from your Simona Halep picks, even though I think they're very good, and she probably will win. She could win, but if you don't take Karolina Pliskova, I'll gladly scoop her up. She dominated her opening match. She's on the easier side of the draw. Her path to the final, relatively easy. On the other side of the draw, as I said, Halep is a beast, but she's on pace to face Garbiñe Muguruza, who's been playing unreal tennis right now. That match could really go either way, and whoever survives that showdown will then have a 24-hour turnaround for a potential championship match against Pliskova. I think the Czech star will have her opponents in a checkmate by the end of the week.
Oh, man. Pretty good.
Wow. I am duly impressed, I gotta say. All those just laid right in there.
We're gonna have a pun off next week.
I think so.
I'm gonna start working him in here.
I don't even want to bother.
We're gonna watch the views and listens on this show just go straight down. We're gonna call it the pun drop.
Oh,
yeah.
Now I'm pulling a Ryan and just smashing my mic here.
That's what we do when we're angry.
That's right.
See how easy it is to rattle these guys? It's so much fun.
Pun us to death.
Puns and rage.
All right, so we're looking at a best bet recap for this week. I'm going to go with I got to be careful with this because I feel like I followed you too in the dunk comp and went with my...
You use your mulligan.
I have used my mulligan, so I got to be smart about this. And I'm going to go back to what we just talked about. I'm going to take Simona Halep as my bet of the week. That or Chapo. So maybe the dual tennis best bets of the week. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, interesting.
If you're let to do two
both to win.
I'm trying to find another way around on like the best bet. One could win. Then I'll be like, got it.
All right. From tennis to golf, my best bet of the week is the Sergio Garcia top 10 finish at the WGC Mexico Championship. I just think he plays really well on this course. He's played here 3 times, never finished worse than 12th. I think Sergio gets it done at 3-1 odds too. Very enticing.
You also used your mulligan apparently this week.
Oh, you gave it to me?
I'll give it to you. I'll give you the mully, no problem. But if Sergio doesn't win and Twitter says he should have won, it doesn't matter. You're losing this week.
We'll discuss it on next week's show.
Yeah, I suppose we will. I'm putting my money down on Jarmo Kekalainen to be a busy man over the next few days for the NHL Trade Deadline. The prop there is which Eastern team in the NHL is going to add over or under 2.5 bodies. Taking the over. The Blue Jackets have done it time and time before. I couldn't remember any trades when you put me on the spot. But we got Adam McQuaid. We got Matt Duchene. I was forgetting everything. My mistake. But nonetheless, I like the Blue Jackets to be busy over the next few days and to add a few warm, heart-beating bodies. I'm assuming they'll be alive before the trade deadline's up. So there you go.
All right. A reminder: Real Money Daily Fantasy Sports.
I'm waiting for the rebuttal here.
He named 2 players. The over-under's 2.5.
Come on.
Good luck, guys.
Hey, they had Bergman as well last year, all right? Boom.
You're so sassy. We're just
Nailed
going to
it.
let you do the show by yourself next week, I think.
Please give me a mulligan and then chirps everybody.
All
From his
right.
ivory tower.
Real money, daily fantasy sports, great option for people living in a state where traditional sports betting isn't legal. Head over to WSN.com and they can set you up with links to DraftKings and FanDuel as well at WSN.com. Head over there and as well to WSN's YouTube channel. All the coverage on all sports. Make sure you like and subscribe to Prop Drop. For Adam Forsythe and Ryan Sullivan, I'm Alece Anderson, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.